So, we're going to have a look at an introduction to drop D tuning. It's a nice one to do. It's one of the easiest things you can get into because you're for alternative for tunings, because you're only dropping the bottom E string. So it's quite straightforward. Simplest way to do that: pluck your D string and tune it down. Check it by doing a quick rundown, and your brain kind of resolves that ding 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 ding. It should be. Don't just do that, by the way, because you won't hear it. Your brain needs to hear it in steps. And if it's slightly out, lean over, tweak it. Of course, you can also use your tuner, your tuning app, your guitar tuner, to do it, you know, whichever way. By the way, to get back, pluck your E string, your top E string, and take it the other way. And to check if you've got it right, do the same thing, but now play an E chord. Now, I got quite lucky there because I got it right first time both times. Doesn't always happen quite that easily. Let's go back into drop D then. Again, I got lucky. So you can see you can get in and out of drop D really quickly and really easily, and it's only the one string. Okay, now what you end up with is this big. Your D chord is now a 6-string chord. Instead of being just these top 4, it's now, because it's bringing the A and the E. The E has gone down to D. By the way, the relationship, for those of you who don't know, between D and E, it's easy to show you on here. On the 5th string, 7th fret, that's an E, E flat or D sharp, and that's a D. So D is 2 frets down from E. That's the relationship. So we've tuned that down, an E down to a D. I hope that kind of makes sense, but don't get too hung up on that. It's fine, it is what it is. Okay, so now we end up with this big boom, especially on this guitar. This is a jumbo sized body, and so you get a big. Big boomy sound. Great if that's what you want, and it can be really useful, but I think drop D works really well when you capo up somewhere up here. I'm going to stick it in the 4th fret because now we've shortened the scale length. You can hopefully see it's got a really nice sound to it. You're going to be when you're in drop D, you're going to be playing in the key of D. There's not much point in tuning into it otherwise, frankly. I mean, never say never, but generally speaking, you're going to. So let's set the capo off though, just to illustrate things in the terms which you may be a little bit more used to. How does it affect what you're going to do? Well, basically, you've only taken one string down. Okay, it affects your D in as much as you have the option of playing all these all 6 strings. You don't have to though. You can still just play a normal D if you want to. So that's one thing. On your 5-string chords, it's not really a problem because you just don't play that string. So on A minor, for example, if you try and play that, it's going to mess it up. So A or A minor, just don't play that string. C, just don't play that string. Okay? So you wouldn't normally be playing that string for those open chords anyway though. So A minor, nothing's affected. It's only affected when you play a 6-string chord. So let's say an E minor or a G. Everything's gone wrong because you're 2 frets lower than you should be on this string. So all you have to do though really is compensate. Bring it back up again. So if you're playing an E minor, you've got to bring this up 2 frets. That makes it, that's how you play E minor. Okay? I actually often just bend that finger, but that's kind of, I just find it easier because I'm used to that. But either way, do it how you want to do it. If you're playing a G, you've got the same problem, it's 2 frets too low. Well, it's not practical to try and play a normal G chord and bring those fingers up. So you bring the finger up to here, to the 5th fret. It normally would be on the 3rd. Bring it up to the 5th and add that top, that note. And don't worry about the one here. In in actual fact, what your finger's going to do is going to mute it. So you can, that becomes G, that becomes E minor. So there's the new kind of chord patterns you need to learn. Interestingly, a lot of times in this key, you can often play just the G like that and leave off the first string. Technically, that's a G6. It often works. I mean, try it. You know, see what you like. And of course, if you like playing a double finger G, you just play two fingers, and it's a bit complicated. You got a bar. I don't think you would really. I mean, you might if you're capoed up, but again, you experiment with it. Okay, so you've got all your chords. You're kind of back where you were, really. And you'd use it for things like Harvest Moon. That kind of stuff. Just remember, you've got to make these adjustments and compensations as and when you need to. Okay? But you've only changed one string. So try it with some songs you already know, and remember you've got to change your E minor and your G. Now, that's just your basic open chords, but the rule applies, and the main thing is you just got to apply that rule. When it comes to doing bar chords, if you're doing a double bar, just be careful not to hit that string. If you're doing a minor shape, just be careful not to hit that string. That's your A-shaped bar chords. If you're doing an E-shaped bar chord, you've still got this problem. But you just bend that finger, bring it up, do it like that. If you're minor. Okay, so it does get a little bit more complicated there because, especially if you're moving bar chords quickly, it gets a little bit more complex, but it's just practice, really. You know, it's just getting your head around that. Okay, just remember you've got to compensate by bringing this up. So you can still do bar chords, you can still do open chords. You just can't necessarily do everything the way you used to do it. So as I say, let's bring it back into some more practical terms here. I often like it sort of capoed third, fourth, fifth, somewhere around that. I'm going to stick it on the fourth for now, just because I use it there quite often. Now, what's interesting, if I do my E minor, my G, and my D, so there's so many chords with D, G and E minor in them. A minor, E minor, G, works really nice, and you get this nice boom, resounding bass note. The thing is, of course, you can, all the little things you can do in D, all the kind of marzipan, as Keith Richards would call it, you can still do, and this is why we change keys, this is why we use alternate tunings, because we can start adding flavours and harmonies and things like that. So I just want to show you something that I use quite often though when I'm playing in drop D. D stroke E. It's a lovely chord. Take a D chord, move your first finger onto the fourth string, so off the third and onto the fourth. That's a nice chord. You can take that finger off if you want to. It's a lovely chord. The other one you can do, so that would be D slash E, I guess. And then the other one you can do is D slash B, which would be same thing but going to the fifth string. And these chords, it's got a really nice feeling to them. What's interesting though is if I've got a song that say goes D, E minor, G, and back to D. Instead of doing the E minor, I can go. You get a kind of harmony kind of chord. Or I'll do the other one. So that was moving the first finger to the fourth string. This time I'm going to move it to the fifth string. I'll do it again. This time I'll do the full E minor. Or you might do both of those fingers to there. So you get these nice, they're almost got quite a melancholy kind of sounding chords that you can play around with. And that kind of is all you need to know, really. You've only dropped one string down, and so you can often work out where you should be and what you need to do. Hopefully what I've given you there is going to cover you for most of what you need. I literally can't think of anything else to add to it. Yeah, and so that's kind of all you need. And don't forget, when you come out, pluck your top E, tune it back into E, double check it, and you're good to go. Okay, so enjoy.